Hello, 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 hello. It's Mark Out Show, Adventures of the Cosmic Suit. How are you all? Nice to see you all here. Hello, Croatia, Ottawa, South Carolina, Rocky Hill, Apache Junction, Arizona. Never been there. Love to go there. The Netherlands, where we have the good change. Hello, Detty. California. Hello. Well done for still living there. Hello, Canada. I was in Canada many years ago. Love Canada. Love to come back. Once you got rid of Castro, I'll be there. So today we're going to live, and before I talk about that, please remember email get on my email list, because if you get on my email list, who knows how long this channel is going to last. Thanks everybody for being here. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I brought on a guest who I'd listened to for many years on a radio show, and I got a great deal of pleasure and information out of this guy. And I asked him on, and he's a total gentleman. Although he was a bit rude about a few people. We'll talk about that, but we'll ask him about that. And he said, let's do a Q&A. And I thought, okay, quite divisive. Lots of people loved what he has to say. Some people didn't. And I thought, well, this has got to be interesting. But he's a fantastic guy. So please welcome Mr. Kent Dunn. Hello, Kent.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I got 15 baby ducks this morning, and, everything's doing great. These are the kind that lay the big white eggs and may go into hatching a new breed of ducks. So this ought to be interesting.
A new breed of duck?
Yeah. It's called a hybrid 300. The duck, when it reaches 40 weeks old, will start laying eggs. On the second year, it'll lay between 295 and 300 eggs a year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that a genetically modified duck, or is that just crossbreeding?
No, that's just crossbreeding between a Peking and a khaki Campbell.
Wow. Okay, you know your ducks, Ken.
Yes,
I had three mallards once in Morocco.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, they were great. I loved them in the evening because they always did a circuit.
Yeah.
Back to the pond. They were great fun.
Yeah.
So, last time we were on, did you read all the comments?
Yes, sir. I have a thing. I just tell people the truth. If it makes you mad, there's nothing I can do about it. A lie needs a defense. The truth is what it is.
The other thing is, doing this work, you have to have a thick skin, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Really thick skin.
Yeah. I don't let a lot bother me. There's good and there's bad. Okay. And I walk what they call a gray line. Okay. I look at the good on the left. I look at the bad on the right. But I can look into the good and I can see the bad, and I can look into the bad and I can see the good, but I don't judge either side. Okay. But the only thing that I really don't like is somebody that lies.
Well, I feel the same. I've never told anybody what anything that I'm saying is 100%. You must believe it. So always go and do your own research. Always look into yourself. We'll see what resonates. And because we're all trying to piece this together and work out our general direction, how we're going to survive and how we're going to thrive. And that's what interests me. And I find life is an adventure. And I love sitting and listening to people that know stuff that I don't. And I think that's the key. It's having a curiosity, which is why I thought this was a good idea for Q&A. You guys in the chat, if you've got any questions, put them in the chat. And then as we go through, I'll ask some of those questions. I did get. Do you want to talk about anything before I put up some questions that we got from Telegram, Ken?
No, not really. Nothing other than, get ready around May 1st. A lot is going to be changing in this world. Okay. Monetary wise, and you're going to see a lot of the rich go broke, and you're going to see a lot of the poor become richer. So get ready.
So are you talking about Jasara and Nasara?
Jasara and Nasara, and they're revaluating the currencies right now.
There are loads of signs that this is happening all over the place. But there's still quite a few people in the truth community that, or purport to be in it, just calling it a load of BS.
Well, you know what? If it is BS, please inform the military. I have been doing this for 18 years, telling people what's going on, how Nasara Jasara is going. I've been at this for 18 years. I mean, I know a lot of the insiders, and I know most of the fakes. And that's the way it is.
Yeah. Well, God, I can't wait for it. I mean, it's just, I've spent maybe 4 years thinking about the ramifications of what just the RV on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that news of that has been around for 20, 30 years, but the other aspects of it, and the lack of tax, the lack of smaller governments, that's one thing I can't wait for.
Right. You are correct.
Because
and the new trading that's going to be going on off this planet. They're going to be making products on this planet that are going to be taken to Mars. Okay. FedEx has already got 2 spaceships up there. They're building 2 more on the moon.
Now, this wound a few people up when they saw that. They heard you say that, and they were like, "What? FedEx is in space? They can't even deliver my Amazon package on time."
Well, they may not be able to deliver to your package in time, but I can tell you one thing: they got 2 spaceships in space that go galaxy to galaxy. They go through wormholes. They go through the moon. Everybody does. Nobody. I mean, not the moon, the sun. Everybody thinks the sun is hot. The sun's not hot. The sun is actually like a portal.
Well, I know that's true.
Yeah,
I know that's true. But what's the shipping and handling going to be to Venus? That's going to be more than the.
This is why gold is the main thing out there, and that's why I told everybody, get ready. We're going to go to a crypto type system, because it's not just going to be for this planet. It's going to be for every planet and for every universe. So, we have to adapt to it. They don't have to adapt to us.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about crypto.
Okay.
So I first got involved with Bitcoin about 2013, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave up trying to get some because it was too complicated and I was too busy.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got some in 2014, and I forgot about it. And a couple of years later, I realized how much it was worth, and I was like, "This is crazy." Then I got involved. Then I got involved in a crypto business, and I met one of the economists that got sent the Satoshi paper, who was going around the world giving talks, trying to talk about cryptocurrency when it was worth nothing and it was a crazy idea.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met him, he was worth billions.
Right.
I mean, he had more. He said, "I've got more money than God." I mean, I've had a few beers with him and met him.
Sure.
But then there were a load of characters got involved in that crypto world that were very nefarious. And I did see with Bitcoin, I got rid of all Bitcoin probably about a year ago, because I feel that XRP and the ISO 20022 currencies are going to be very important in the new financial system. But Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's...
No, Bitcoin is not backed by any gold. No. Listen, folks, you're going to want to go with XRP, and you're going to want to go with XLM. That's XRP is gold, XLM is silver. All right. XDC is copper. And, you want to stick with the metals, because believe me, the metals are becoming hard to get a hold of. And this is some of the things that are going to be needed to make all these new inventions that are going to be brought out. They're not really new. They've just been underground and been used by the military and the governments secretly, some of them from over 100 years. The first robot ever used in the world on planet Terra was invented in 1883, and it actually drove around a family with their horse and buggy.
Well, where did Asimov get his ideas from?
Hey,
Where
listen.
did H.G. Wells get his ideas from?
Well, H.G. Wells was a time traveler. We already know that.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, we already know that.
That's
So
why there's a picture of H.G. Wells' time machine on my website header.
right.
And I mean, the time travel thing's always had me by the Gahulis since I was a little kid for some reason, because I just really resonated with the whole thing. And if you look at any sort of high quality time travel entertainment like Back to the Future series, it's just packed with references to Donald Trump, to We the People, to 88 miles an hour, Lionsgate. I mean, it's just everything's packed.
Right.
Absolutely
Right.
packed.
And
Doctor Who.
Donald Trump's son Barron, he's a time traveler.
I know. I've read the books. The Ingersoll.
What was it? The Magnificent Adventures of Baron von Trump.
Yeah, whose best mate Don became president.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's have you seen those photos of Ivanka from about 4 or 5 years ago? And she went all around the world in these incredible photos of her replicating this other famous story from the 1800s. And she was like, it was like the pictures of her when there's so many fascinating aspects to the whole Donald Trump story.
Right. And she's a tall white anyway.
Yeah. Well, look at Melania. I mean, she's way too good looking to be human.
Yeah, exactly. She's actually a Pleiadian. Okay. Which is a Pleiadian, for those of you that don't know, is an off planet, off Terra species of the Pleiadians. Okay. They're called Pleiadians.
Cool. Well, it's funny though, even though when I talk about, I kind of lightheartedly try to go through some of this stuff. I don't have your contacts or or background, or as far as I know. I mean, I think a lot of things are unlocking, but even when you talk about certain things, I get comments like, why does Mark fall for Trump? And it's like, well, for me, it was a deeply spiritual experience falling for Trump, because I remember it hit me when I was listening to him, but I was hearing something else rather than just words. And I had to pull over in my car and go, hang on a minute, this is something else going on here. And I've just loved this peeling back of the layers. And that's what I tried to say to people about, having you on the show, because you've been talking about this stuff for a long time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I salute you for that.
Thank you.
So I've got some questions in the chat here.
Sure.
One here. Just Andy has said, does Kent know about the Phoenicians?
Yeah. The Phoenicians are actually the Rames, Ramay. And the Rames are, they were a lot of help to the Anunnaki that helped, and this is where the Phoenicians come from.
And then they base themselves in the place where the water, not Vienna, the other one, begins with a V. Can you help me? Venice. Yeah. Which is the only piece of land not considered that was actually at sea, so they could implement maritime law. And there were supposed to be 13 families of Phoenicians there. And I heard that they got taken out about 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
Or maybe less. Because they're like the hidden power behind the power, but then there's hidden powers behind the power behind the power behind the power.
Correct. There's 13 families that run this world, okay, in the banking world, the money world, corporation world, and they're all over there, and they were taking them down, and that's the way it was.
So we think they've gone. They've definitely gone.
A lot of them are gone. A lot of the decision makers are gone. They have gave the other ones a chance to come over and work with us. But if you don't want to work with us, then, we got 2 3D planets waiting for you, choose.
Yeah, I heard everybody gets given the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why some people can't understand why some people that used to be considered to be bad guys are now appearing to be good guys. Or were they always in disguise? I'm talking about people like Elon Musk.
Well, it was funny because I got a call from a friend of mine. She was talking to Elon just a little while ago. And, Musk is okay. Musk don't mind playing either side because he wins either way he goes.
Well,
It's
that
like
sounds
playing the market. You
yeah,
know,
but
it's like
that sounds like a Phoenician tactic.
exactly.
That's exactly
That's what I'm trying to show you.
that's exactly how the Rothschilds took over London in 1815.
Correct. You are correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to. Barney Rubble has said, "Hi, Barney. Keep your eyes peeled," and I think this needs addressing because I'm seeing this a lot. Keep your eyes peeled for 5G towers going up, chemtrails all over the UK. There are no white hats, sadly.
Well, then you ain't been in the underground bases and blowed up what I blowed up and watched what the militaries around the world are cleaning up. Okay. I mean, when you've got a soldier that is going up to his belly button in aliens that are nothing but glob, okay, blobs, and they got to clean that up, okay, and that's what they're doing. So for for you that don't think there's no white hats, there are no white hats for you, but for the rest of us, there are white hats.
So what about the chemtrails? What's going on there? Because
Well, the chemtrails are because they've absolutely just killed our weather. Okay? They've absolutely killed our weather. We have no weather on this planet anymore. AI, 3D AI is at 11%. Okay? If 4D AI ain't helping it, I mean, you would start seeing things just disappear. You would disappear. I would disappear. Things would just start disappearing, and people don't understand how this world is really run. Look, folks, I'm going to make this real simple for you. You're not real. You're a hologram. You're nothing but a hard hologram. The real you is over in 4D. You're only a reflection of yourself in 4D. And that's the way it is.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story. It was about 7 or 8 years ago. There was a guy working for me, young, tall fella, and I'd walk into the room and have a meeting or something. And I used to run this company, and literally he would go out of focus. Everything else was in focus except him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, I didn't wear glasses or anything at the time, and I was like, "What's going on? This isn't." And I've had loads of examples. Oh, by the way, since I last spoke to you, a couple of nights ago, I sat around the fireplace, and I was like, I said, "There's going to be a show tonight."
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was going to be a show, and there was. There was 12 of them, and they were powering up and zipping around, and they were showing off and saying hello,
Sure.
and they're talking to me, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I alerted the quadrant that's over Ireland over there, to locate you and just kind of dance around the sky a little bit.
Well, I appreciate that, but you promised me a lift.
Yeah, as soon as we get the clearance for it.
Cool, right? I'm ready. Anyway, I'll go through some more questions. Renee Barnett said, "Can you tell us more about Jesus? Because you said some interesting things about Jesus on our last chat."
Sure. Jesus is the energy offshoot of Lucifer. The Holy Spirit is Baal. Okay. Religion only exists in 3D. It's not in 1D, 2D, 4D, 5D, and 6D. You become your own God. You can make your own universe, your own planets, your own beings. Okay. It's just that simple.
Well, it sounds simple when you say it, but you know that people are going to get triggered by that.
Well, I mean, that's because, they listen to that man in the pulpit too much. And then they're giving him money. That's the part that ought to piss you off. You go over there to get chewed out, and then you have to pay the guy, or you got to pay a penance because you done something wrong during the week.
I had such a natural dislike of men in robes, like really, like even from a baby, I was like, "Nyeh."
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I've got quite a few stories about that. I'll write down in a book one day. I'm just looking through some more questions.
Sure.
This is also, so this is back to the revalue the RV. RV Watcher says, Ken, what if I have Zim bonds and I don't get anything set up that I can go and get a street rate? I think you know I've seen you talk about RV quite a lot, so
right.
you might need a bit of explanation to people watching this who don't know anything about it.
Okay, the Zim bonds were issued in 2007 and 2008. Okay, and the AA series is the high series. The one that you really want is the 2008 AA series notes. Okay, now you're gonna get a set rate for it. They're figuring somewhere between 12 million and 18 million per 100 trillion note. Okay. But take every Zim note that you have, even if it's one Zim, take it in. Because if you have a low amount, they may give you more than 18 million. But that's what I was hearing this morning. And I'm on Intel every morning.
I mean, there's a lot of countries going to get very rich very quickly.
Yep. There's going to be a lot, and there's going to be a lottery millionaires that are going to go broke in 2 years too.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. I mean, whenever I've seen, let's say, a football player become really rich when they're young, or somebody win the lottery, it doesn't usually end well. What contingencies are there in place? Because my daughter asks me questions like this all the time. She's like, you know, what are we going to do if everybody's rich? Nobody's going to work. Who's going to clean the toilets? Who's going to drive the trains? You know.
Well, that's where we, the humanitarians, come in and provide the jobs for people. Okay. I don't recommend universal basic income to anybody because that's to trap you into the cities.
Yeah.
All right. Get out of the cities.
Yeah.
You know, but there's going to be a lot of robots that are going to be doing a lot of work. Okay. They've got like 562 patents of robots that they haven't released yet. You know, this is why we haven't blowed up all the underground dumb bases, because we're going to be using them as assembly lines to build things. And it's going to be put on a spaceship, taken up to the moon and registered at the moon. And then it's going to be taken over to Mars, and it's going to be put into the warehouses over there. And it's going to be traded with crypto from universe to universe, planet to planet.
Somebody in Telegram, whose name I've not got in front of me, said, what is Q? I think we talked about this last time, but
yeah,
expand on Q a little bit.
Well, Q is the leader of the white hats, okay, of the militaries of the world that are working together to bring down the cabal, okay? And there's a Q in every country. So Q is just not one person.
And when do we expect Q to start talking again?
Probably about summer, about the time the spaceships start landing on top of the government buildings and everything. I think Q will come back online.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting a truth vibration there. And I did an interview with a really interesting guy from Aberdeen last year called George. And George wrote a book. You'd like it. It's called UFOs in the Fish Tank. I was just looking for it. Mm-hmm. And he said very clearly that he's been up on the ships, and he said there's going to be these huge ships over every city, government buildings, and they're going to be arresting the people that are remaining. Does that resonate with you?
They're really not going to be arresting. We're going to, the ones that are in the cities are going to be blocked in. Okay. And they're going to try to draw you there with things like UBI and free food and free energy and free gas and stuff like that. But don't fall for it, folks. It's a trap.
What's the purpose of them pulling people in like that?
there's those out there that still want the population of this planet down. Because remember, we talked about on the other show, there's only 100 million humans on this planet. All the rest of them are clones, droids, drones, robots.
But we're all holograms, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
So if we're all you mean there's 100 million people that are connected to the real person in 4D?
Correct.
And the rest are they holograms as well? Are they holographic robots? Are they holographic clones, or are they what? I think that's a little bit unclear for some people. So,
well, understand in 3D, you're nothing but a reflection of the real you in 4D. If you're a clone and you have a reflection put into 3D, then you act just like the clone does, or like the droid does. I know it sounds complicated, but really, folks, it's not. They've had this technology for millions of years.
Okay, Sue Chippendale, you just said why you didn't finish the story about the tall man who worked for you. I did finish the story. I just saw the guy go out of focus. And that is the story. There's nothing more. I'm just finishing the story for Sue. This guy wrote to me 10 years later after I'd left the country and everything, because I used to take all the staff into a hotel room on a Sunday and get them to break down why they came to work and why they did what they did. Because one thing about the system that I've never enjoyed is that if you're an employer or you're an entrepreneur and you employ people, they're desperate to get a job from you, but then 2 weeks later they hate you because you're the reason why they have to get up in the morning and have to be. So you can never win, right?
No.
And it's a lose-lose situation. And I was trying to get them to work out what their passions were and what they really wanted to do. And I did a lot of work with them, and I bought them juices, I bought them trampolines, I bought them plants, I did everything. And this guy wrote to me and he said, I thought you were completely mad. And then 5 years ago, I started realizing that you weren't, and I started doing what you're doing. And now I'm the head of sales of this massive European company, because I keep teaching people about the law of attraction, or that you can do what you want, because it is a hologram.
Correct.
We are the creators, right?
You are correct.
Yeah,
you are correct.
Which is, people can argue with that as much as they like, but I know it's true. So truly flower love. Yeah. So carrying on with Q, she says, or he says, I don't know. Q plus is apparently Trump, so he's part of the Q team. I believe that to be true. What do you think, Ken?
Q plus plus.
Q plus plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one more. There's one more in between there. There's Q plus, and 2 Q plus plus.
Okay, so the next question is obviously who's Q plus?
It's a female.
So the next question is which female?
She's a Pleiadian.
I think I know. Melania.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were dangling that one.
Yes,
Ali J68 says, has Kent heard of the TLS group?
Oh, yeah.
Jason Shirker.
Yeah, I had heard.
Let's not upset anybody.
No, I'm not. I just don't. I'm just not interested.
Yeah, I think it stands for the light system or something.
Yeah, and it's not for me.
Okay? Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of the information put out by Jason. I think there's some great information coming out. But when I got his first download with like a PDF, it was talking about pedophilia very early on, and I basically just bounced off that. And maybe I've misinterpreted it, but yeah, I know what you mean. And that's the point, folks. You go with what resonates, and not everybody's right about everything. I mean, I really like Kent. I really like Alex Collier, but I bet they're both not 100% right about everything.
Nope.
Nobody is. Just looking down some questions. Oh, Barney says Melania is a man, not a woman. I don't think so, Barney. Have you seen the last First Lady? No. Is Putin a Q? This comes from Sylvia Mason.
Putin is not a Q, but his advisor general is.
Now that Putin, is that that's not the same Putin, is it?
That's the fourth Putin.
Yeah, I was going to say.
First Putin died in 2012. They replaced him with Putin's cousin. Then they replaced him with another one of Putin's cousins. And now they're on Putin's nephew.
So we're on Putin 4.
We're on Putin 4.
Are we on Trump 1, 2, 3, 4?
Actually, we're on Trump probably about 3.
And we know that the Joe Biden in the White House is not in the White House and is not Joe Biden. So that must be Biden 2.
No, that's just an actor with a mask over him. You have to understand when they swore Joe Biden in, they swore him in over in Portugal. The Jesuits did that.
Portugal?
Because if you look at it and you watch his wife, she's wearing 2 different dresses. So one was taped part of a day and the other one was taped another part of the day. And if you'll look at it, she's wearing 2 different dresses.
So what always amazed me about that inauguration, because it was obviously BS from start.
Right.
I mean, it was at the wrong time of day. There was loads of it that didn't add up.
Right.
How are 360 million Americans not awake to this?
Stimulus checks.
Good answer.
Stimulus checks.
Yes. But hang on, Trump was sending out the stimulus checks back then.
Yeah, but Joe Biden told them they would get more if they'd vote for him.
Well, yeah, and they still didn't vote for him.
I didn't vote for him. That's for sure.
I don't think anybody did they?
No, nobody I talked to. In America, friends don't let friends vote Democrat.
It's a shame. JFK was a Democrat. I used to think that was the right party to follow years ago.
Yeah, the problem was JFK was actually a female.
What?
Yep.
Now they're going to go wild.
Well, I don't care. I'm just telling you like it is. He belonged to the Cavendish group, and the Cavendish family run the Kennedys and they run the Carters. Jimmy Carter, his wife and his daughter were killed before he ever was sworn in as president, because they said, we want you to do this, this, and this. And Jimmy Carter said, no, I'm not going to do it. So they killed Jimmy Carter, his wife, and his daughter, and replaced them with clones.
Wow. I've got a story about I was in the States in the early 90s, and I got taken from Florida, Sarasota, to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a big drive down, and we went to Jimmy Carter's pilot's house.
Right.
So this is the guy that allegedly flew him around, because he was a peanut farmer from Georgia.
Right.
Flew him around on the campaign trail. This was the pilot. This was Jimmy Carter's friend. And while I was there, this is when I found out. This is when I found out what it means for a state to be dry. I had no idea what that meant.
Right.
So I met the farm hands. We had a good laugh outside. But because I got kicked out of the house, and it was like, the big men are talking now. You go in the garden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about JFK in front of me over lunch. And they were just going on about it being Cuba, the missile crisis, and it was because of the gambling rights and everything else. And this is around the time Oliver Stone brought out the JFK movie. I think it was around that time, you know. But nobody ever said he was a woman.
Yeah, because his wife was a man, and she was actually a trained CIA agent. 36 hours before he was to be killed, they had a meeting with her, gave her a 38 snub nose, and said that if he's not killed, you're to draw this 38 out, put 2 shots in his side, lay your arm out, drop the gun, and our agents will pick it up and take it away.
I did see a video that showed that might be. It's one of the potential true stories, and yeah. Well, I don't. You guys watching, I don't know. I'm just letting Kent tell us what he knows. So if JFK was a woman, that means Marilyn Monroe was a lesbian.
Well, I mean,
No, she was a man. You're going to tell me she was a man?
no. I'm not going to tell you Marilyn Monroe was a man because I don't have 100% on that. But it's kind of hard, not to figure out that to become famous, you have to become a Luciferian, and a lot of the Luciferians change. Men become women, women become men. Okay.
Now, I want to back that up because I have a personal story, and I'm not going to give away any names, but somebody that I knew ended up getting nominated for an Oscar about 18 months after they told me that they were a Luciferian.
Correct.
And I remember going, Lucifer, because I didn't really understand what it meant then, because it was quite a few years ago. And then he went and won this, well, got nominated for this Oscar, and then his career took off. And I was like, he was never that talented. How did this happen? And then this is when you start piecing the pieces together. Because nobody up there, basically nobody up there has not had to do something other than be talented to get there, right?
You are correct.
And that's been the shocking thing about, I think it's one of the hardest things for a lot of people to face up. I mean, in the UK, we all had to face, when Jimmy Savile was outed for what he did, okay, the whole country went, oh, how did we not see this? And then loads more celebrities. They went like dominoes. It was crazy.
They do the same thing in what they call it over in India, Dollywood. They got men that are dressed up. Yeah, they got men that are dressed up as women. Women that are dressed up as men.
Yeah. I mean, we in England we grew up on it. It's called pantomime.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of English pantomime?
No, can't say I have. Over here we just call them transvestites and go on.
In England,
it's
completely normal.
If you say I do, be the ugly one, but make sure she ain't got 5 o'clock shadow growing around here. Okay, that might kind of tickle.
Oh God! That's just reminded me of a joke written by this Scottish comedian I used to know years ago. He said, "Have you ever seen the film Seven Brides for Seven Brothers?"
Yeah.
People go, yeah. And then you say, "Have you ever seen the gay black version?" People go, "No." It's like Seven Brothers for Seven Brothers.
7 brothers for 7 brothers.
It's just a silly joke there. Sorry, Alan, if I can't remember your name. I'm trying to credit you with the joke. That was back at the Edinburgh Festival. Any more questions, guys? I'm trying to go down the list and keep everything moving. Okay, just looking down the list. While I'm looking down for these, I'm just looking for questions. A lot of people commenting and not necessarily asking questions. Please ask questions in the box. Kent knows a huge amount about a lot of things. Even if you think it sounds crazy, it's worth listening to.
Well, for those of you that are first tuning in, let me tell you why I know a lot of this stuff. I'm not human. Okay, I'm an alien. I'm a Pleiadian. I came here to help at this time. Okay, I came here as a messenger. I tell people the truth, and I work as a humanitarian to help people along because we're going through hard times, and we're starting to go through hard times, and it's going to keep going until 2025. Okay, and this is why I agreed to come here.
I mean, there's a lot of talk at the moment about food shortages. Monkey Works did a video the other day showing all these backed up ships outside Shanghai. And I just read an article today about 18 food distribution centers in the States have been burnt down in the last 6 months. I'm noticing it on the shelves here that there are certain things that are starting to disappear. You have long talked about prepping and making sure you've got food, spare food, water, gold, silver, all of these things, which I
Right.
think is all just pragmatically simple, obvious advice. Stay out of the cities. I've been trying to talk about sovereignty in every angle as much as
Hmm.
possible throughout
Right.
this channel since the birth of this channel. Yet people still just don't seem to think it's going to happen.
Well, you know what? That's what the man thought before the truck run him over.
Exactly.
Won't happen to me. And then the truck run him over. Don't be that man. That's just the way it is. Don't be that man. You know, I mean, it. There used to be an old saying over here in Southern USA. It's fun to dance with the devil, but when you got to pay the fiddler, it ain't good, man. It ain't good at all.
Yeah. And the devil came down to Georgia.
Right. And the old boy took his golden fiddle too.
I know. I used to love that song.
Yep.
Okay, got a question here from Truly Flower Love.
Sure.
Going back to Trump, asking about Trump again, still pushing the VAX on the TV for what I saw in some video. Why? That happened a few months ago, really, and
Yeah.
I found that really interesting at the time. And people are obviously perturbed, and it's like you're constantly getting thrown off track. And I think a lot of people get married to an idea, and then something else comes along that throws them off, and then they get thrown off again. And my take on it is that there's always been multi-dimensional chess.
Correct.
And you can't look at things through a 3D lens and have a linear relationship between one thing happening and the next thing happening, because there's all this stuff going on that we can't see.
Right.
What's your take on it?
Remember, Trump told everybody about the story of the snake. The woman found a snake.
The poem.
Yeah, the poem.
Yeah.
She brought it home. She cared for it. The snake turned around and bit her. The woman said, "You bit me. You're poisonous. I'm going to die." And the snake looked at her and said, "Silly woman, you knew I was a snake, yet you brought me home."
Well, that's the same
Trump was
story.
doing the same thing.
That's the same story as the scorpion trying to cross the river, and it goes on the back of the elephant or whatever, and then bites it halfway across. And on the way down, they said, "Why did you do that? We're both going to drown." He said, "I couldn't help it. I'm a scorpion."
Yeah, exactly. And that was the idea. That's the idea that Trump was putting out about, the story of the snake. And it works the same way. Are you going to put all your faith in him, or are you going to have enough sense to yourself to say, no, I think I'll look into it a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I found
40 or you're not. I mean, that's the way it is.
I found the whole what I've loved about Q and Trump in terms of global stuff, and a lot of people that I've met, is that the whole thing is literally a way of us growing up, because we've been suckling on the nipple for so long.
Right.
We've forgotten how to take care of ourselves, how to think for ourselves, how to have discernment, all of these skills that we should have. We haven't. It's been bred out of us.
Right. And the thing about it is, it all boils down to one thing. Are you smart enough to think for yourself, or do you have to have somebody like a president, like a preacher, like a professor, or do you have common sense to say, no, I'll do this myself? Okay. I mean, you're not going to learn to cook until you get the pan out, turn the heat on, and start getting out some stuff and start cooking. You're not going to become a chef your first time. It ain't going to happen, folks. It's the same way with this life. Every day is a lesson that you are to learn and improve on.
So I've got a question. You're Pleiadian, and you chose to come in. Mm-hmm. Did you choose to come into the southern states of America so that you could just talk with this fabulous southern wisdom? Because I love the way you put things in that part of the world. The way you guys talk is brilliant.
Well, I'll tell you what. The South in 1861, the South was right, and the South is still right. That's what it is. And hey, who don't want to be with the winners? All the governments moving out of the North, they're coming to the South, man. They've set it all up in the South. You know, if the South was right in 1861, they're proving them right again, and I'm right down here amongst them.
Yeah, and you can't beat that fried chicken.
Nope, or the cornbread. You got to remember the cornbread.
The cornbread. Well, I've stopped eating corn. It's the devil's work.
You might want to try some grits then.
I had grits in Florida, and I couldn't believe it. So I got grits, and then there was this amazing artist in Florida called Ruth Harley. She was in the Philadelphia movement, and she gave me a Bloody Mary and grits for breakfast. I nearly threw up.
Yep.
I was like, what is this weird porridge? Anyway, back to questions. Vivienne, Australian healing master. Hello, Vivienne.
Oh.
What are the spaceships off the west coast of Canada up to? There seem to be dozens of them. I haven't seen this. Have you seen these spaceships off the west coast of Canada?
Those are Arcturians, and they're watching. They're all along that west coast. Okay, there is submarine tunnels that they have bored into, even in through Canada. Okay, United States. Even on up into Canada. And this is how the submarines are going in and delivering or picking up supplies in the lakes and then coming back out. So, yeah, those are the Arcturians.
I mean, I've got a question about this. It was about 15 years ago. I met one of my spiritual mentors by accident. Well, it wasn't an accident. I now know. And he told me he'd taken over this work from this priest who was actually a good guy, and he was telling me about all the UFOs, spaceships under the water on the west coast of the States.
Right.
And that knowledge has been around for a very long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I've got a question. If the ships have always been there under the water and in the sky, why haven't they done anything about all this child trafficking that's been going on in Ghislaine Maxwell's submarine and in the Evergreen ships, etc.?
Okay, you have to understand, no government on this planet is run by human. Yeah. Okay, it's not. Aliens run it. Okay, humans are just a front. Okay, but what's got it going in the United States is when Eisenhower signed the Nevada Papers and gave them the right to kidnap, women and children and men, take them off planet, take them to Uranus, to the slave sales that they have up there on the planet of Uranus. This is all due to Eisenhower, when he signed the Nevada Papers. And
why do you think he signed those? Because
the military-industrial complex wanted there was two reasons. One is the military-industrial complex wanted more advanced weaponry, and number two, he wanted to let go of the hydrogen bomb, and nobody wanted him to do it.
But he gave that amazing speech about military-industrial complex when he left office.
Right. On his dying bed, he said, the worst thing I ever done was allow the military-industrial complex to, grow as big as they've grown.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to be full of regret by that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing about it. When everybody's dying, they all want a clear conscience. Okay. I've never met a person that died that wants to leave a lie on their mind. Everybody wants to die with a clear conscience. And that was his biggest regret, that he ever did.
Well, those actions have repercussions for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
Whew. Right, Liddy, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Liddy Sinen says, how long, Kent, for this charade? Now, you said 2025. And I
Right.
think that's what she's talking about, or he.
Right.
Sorry, got the sex wrong. That's another 3 years, man.
Right. So everybody make sure you got food, water, toilet paper, paper towels, silver, gold.
Well, I'm gonna get toilet paper for 3 years. That's a lot of bog roll, Kent.
Hey, you know what? I got it. Hey, I got it stacked up in one of my rooms. You know, I knew this was coming. I have been warning people, brother. I've been warning people for years. This is coming.
Well, I know. When I
Stop
started listening to you, I was like, what's he saying? And but it is all unfolding,
Yeah.
right? It's just not happening immediately. How's it been for you? How's it been for you saying this stuff for a long time and then finding yourself still having to say it like years later?
Well, you know, I was sent down here as a messenger, and I'm going to continue the message until it's not time to do it anymore. I'm almost to the point where I'm not telling the sheeple anymore. Now I'm waking up the wolves. Okay? I'm waking up the wolves. Get it together. Let's get them together as a pack, and let's whip this thing.
That's fact and talk. Right. G-Man 58, back to Trump. Trump is German like the rest of them, and Q is deep state.
Well, you know what? Anybody that doesn't think Trump works for the Jesuits, I mean, you're crazy. He does work for the Jesuits.
So, you know, Trump version 1, 2, 3, controlled by the Jesuits.
Well, actually, he's controlled by the Duke of St. Petersburg.
Blah, blah, blah.
That runs, well, because he's a Knights Templar. I talked to the Duke of St. Petersburg.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very intelligent.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is important to understand. I mean, I've met some very high up people in certain secret societies, and they're extremely intelligent and extremely affable.
Right. And they can tell you exactly what I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of what you say correlates with some of my own experiences. So, you know, I'd say to everybody, whatever resonates, and then do research, and then just grow a pair of balls and get on with it. Another question here from Maggie Federhart. What about the San Madrid fault earthquake that is predicted by Zeta Talk? Thank you. Now, Zeta Talk pops up a lot for me, and I find there's a lot of fear porn in Zeta Talk, but a lot of people really give a lot of weight to it.
Yeah, I don't, because I've found so much of their stuff is, you know, non-factual to what the beings that I deal with. Okay. And I just ignore it.
I mean, there have been a lot of interesting things go, you know, specifically in the last couple of years, like the Las Palmas volcano situation, which did look like it was going to go. And I've been there. I knew about this years ago. That had the potential to create a tsunami, like a mile high at the speed of sound, wipe out the eastern seaboard, then bounce back and do Europe, especially Ireland. So I'd be buggered. And then it stopped, and a lot of people are putting information out there saying, "Well, that was a plan, but then it got dismantled." It's a bit like the nuclear strikes that have been talked about over the years that didn't happen because of alien interference. Where do you stand on all of that kind of thing?
The reason no more nukes have went off is because we keep spaceships in the sky all the time, and we neutralize any kind of launch codes. You know, we're not going to let another nuke go off. I mean, you know, the mini nukes that have went off around the world, they haven't done that much damage. You know, they don't give off radiation like that.
So here's a question: instead of neutralizing the codes when they're used, why don't they just take out the people that want to use them and take all the weapons away? If they've got the technology to do that, why don't they just get rid of them all?
Because it's not time to do that yet.
Right. So you implying that this timeline is preordained?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. More questions. Are you enjoying this?
Yeah. I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, everything that you're saying is correct. All this, the Anunnakis told me years ago, over 25 years ago, Pleiadian, what's coming, you can't stop. So I do the best I can, being a messenger, trying to help people out. I know I can't save everybody, but that don't mean that I don't love you. And that's the way it is.
Okay. My mobile veggies, I assume they sell veggies in a mobile. What can dearest Kent tell us about the involvement of the Lyran race in our galaxy and on Earth during this time?
They're more of a pain in the butt than they're worth. Okay.
Hang on. I got told that I was a Lyran 2 weeks ago.
Well, you know what? I'm so sorry to hear that. Come on over to the Pleiadian side. We got cookies.
Cornbread cookies.
Cornbread cookies.
Okay,
I'll even make you some good Southern grits.
Oh yeah. Why the Lyrans a pain in the ass?
The Lyrans are part of the feline species, and the felines, I mean, who owns a cat?
Me. I've got one here.
Okay. Does your cat do exactly what you want it to do? Or does it look at you like you've got it, like whenever you say go do something, he looks at you like you got 4 heads and 5 eyes?
Yeah.
She
looks
at
me like I'm a piece of shit.
So do we need to go any farther? I mean, I used to raise wolves, and for 17 years I had a Bombay miniature panther that I had. And the panther, I could tell him to go do something, and he just sat there and look at me, and that's just the way the feline species is. They want to do things their own way.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a pain in the ass. That's just them being, they're cats. They can do what they want.
Because they're feelings.
Yeah, they teach you about self-love.
I'll remember that the next time one of them bites me, okay?
Good point. Okay. Oh dear. Detty says, can you ask Kent about the ARC ships?
Yeah, the ARC ships are holding history. They're holding what we're not told about, what's not been put into the Vatican. There are ARC ships that are, I believe there's 6. Yeah, there's 6 that are buried around the world that will be given a lot of this planet the answers whenever we go to 4D.
That brings to mind the question relating to Antarctica, because I remember the day of the election of 2016, John Kerry got on a plane to Antarctica, and I thought, what's he going to Antarctica for? That's very weird. And that was following the Russian Orthodox head of the Russian Orthodox Church, and that was following Buzz Aldrin, and they all just went to Antarctica. I know there's lots of information about this on the internet. I'm just interested in your take.
John Kerry, the John Kerry that went down there was a clone. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, you just look at his face.
Yeah, I mean,
not a good clone either.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a good clone. Okay, but the thing about it is, it was going down there because of its handler. Okay, you have to understand, there are a lot of these politicians that you think are still around, like Hillary Clinton. I cannot believe, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky had an affair in the White House in the 90s. When Hillary found out about it the next day or that night, okay, she blew her top because her and Monica Lewinsky were having an affair. Hillary liked women. She really didn't like men, okay? So she went off the deep end that night, okay? And this is from talking to John Bongino, okay? And she threw things inside there and busted everything. And her and Bill have a chip that are put in their heads, that were put in in Camp David, but the Camp David chip program had been shut down. All right. And Hillary got so mad that she short circuited her chip and gave her a stroke that night. And the Rothschilds have been doing everything they can to keep Hillary doubles in there. That's why when Trump went out, do you remember when Trump and Hillary went out on their first debate?
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing Trump said, who is that woman?
Yeah.
Because he already knew Hillary was dead.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
was he not already dead?
Yeah. So they've got her body over in Greenland, which the United States has took over Greenland since the middle 90s. And they've got her over there on cryogenics because she holds the demon Lilith in her. And if they're afraid that if she unthaws and Lilith gets loose, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Well, I heard that's where they took the Queen as well.
Yeah. Well, the Queen in 2015 went on to the people and said this will be the last Christmas, right?
Yes, I remember that.
Right. And so on January 2nd, Zeus and Saint Germain come down, and Saint Germain witnessed Zeus cutting the Queen's head off while she laid in bed.
Now that is a movie I'd go and see.
Well, they've been using clones, doubles, and robots ever since then, and now they're going to let her die. 17 years, 17. It's just, you can't make this up, man. You cannot make this up.
It's mind-boggling.
I know.
It's mind-boggling. John P., is there going to be a great solar flash?
For what?
Well, a lot of people are talking about the big solar flash and the ascension. I think people are kind of expecting this big event, and there's a lot of talk around the internet about a great solar flash. Have you come across that talk?
Okay. If you're talking about the dome that's over the planet, okay, the dome that's over the planet has an eye on it, and the eye is going to open up, and it's going to suck 3D off of here. The first place it's going to open up is above northern Canada. Okay. Then the eye is going to move across the dome, and it's going to open up, and it's going to suck 3D off of here. At that point, the ice walls in 3D are going to fall down. 4D is going to come in and fill the void. At that point, if your vibration's high enough, your hologram will walk into your true self and become one.
That sounds nice.
It is. It's a if you think about it, it's a beautiful thought. I've been separated from me long enough. I'm ready to go home.
We're walking each other home.
Right. Exactly.
That's what Bryce Watson said. I like that.
Yeah.
But now you've said all that, I'm thinking of calling this video 3D is going to get sucked off, and it just doesn't sound right.
Well, that's what's going to happen. There's an eye that was built into this firmament. You have to understand, when this spaceship, folks, you don't live on a planet. This is a spaceship. It's 862 miles thick. All right. The aliens live in the planet. The rest of us live on top of the planet. Okay.
So I've got to ask you this. What's the point of it all, Ken?
Well, you have to understand, we come down here to learn lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's 2 or 3 other 3D planets, and the leaders are here watching what we're doing right now because they know they're next to go through ascension. Okay. So what we do, what they're doing is they're learning from where we're messing up. Okay. So they can teach their people, don't do this.
Oh, so we're just like, we're the example, we're the video. So when I was learning to fly helicopters, we had
Mhm.
this guy give us a safety briefing, and during that safety briefing, it just showed lots of pictures of crashes and people being mashed up in helicopters, and it made me think twice about carrying on.
Yeah.
So we're basically that video.
Yeah.
That's what.
Well, I've crashed a few spaceships myself, so I understand how you feel. I've had a few shot down too.
I kind of get the feeling I'd have as well. BK Pastor says, question, and this is going back to JFK thing: is JFK Jr. still JFK's son? And then I suppose that's pertinent. If JFK was a woman, what's the relationship?
Right. Then you have to understand. You have to understand that JFK Jr. is not human. Okay. You have to look. You've got to take all of this out of your mind that you think that you know, and you've got to do this. You've got to twist everything.
It's quite hard though. When you've grown up,
get it 95% right if you'll twist it.
Yeah, but I know from people I've spoken to, people kind of. I get this, but it's taken me a long time.
Right.
And I did a talk not so long ago, a public talk, and it went really well. And then people were saying, Mark was great, but he's really out there. And I'm like, you think I'm out there? You should meet Kent Dunn.
Yeah, you got that right. Hey, let me tell you something. I just lay it on the line. I just tell it like it is,
Cool. Right, just reading down some more questions here.
Polar shift. Somebody said it. Polar shift. Is there going to be a polar shift? Honey, you can't have a polar shift on a flat planet, okay? There is no poles.
Yeah. And except the Polish, obviously. But
yeah, well,
Oh, they are poles, strictly.
Yeah,
speaking.
well, they're also the ones that put screen doors in submarines, That's why they never had a good Navy. That way, in case it got too hot, they could open the door and cool off,
Just keep hitting their face. Oh, man. Just reading down here. Oh, yeah. This one's relevant. Because there was this big thing about the snake venom in the water recently.
Right.
Where
what they're talking about is they're actually dumping the vaccines in the waters.
Okay, let's be careful about the V word, but
okay, the jab,
this thing,
the jab, yeah,
because they're still trying to wipe everybody out.
Right, and they're putting it in the water.
Allegedly. I'm saying this for YouTube. Allegedly, I love vaccines.
Yeah. Allegedly, I know people that do.
Yes, well, I've met some as well. Yeah.
You're not going to get near me with it, but I mean,
No, because how does that work though with free will and consent? Because the last 2 years has been all about consent, and people who've consented, they've blah blah blah. But with the water, there's no consent.
Well, here's the thing about it. If you're smart enough to know what's being done, okay, then the way to fix this is to put in water filters to filter this stuff out. Okay. I mean, I don't make things hard. Okay. There's common sense.
Yeah. Well, I've been going on about water filters since I started this channel. In fact, I'm just having another one fitted. I've got more filters than soft mic. Eileen Enns asked a good question. If the human population is only 100 million, how do we know if we are human or not?
That's to be decided between you and the angel that you talk to.
That's very interesting because I am talking to an angel on a regular basis at the moment.
Correct.
That's been the best thing about the last few months.
Exactly. When everything goes wrong, you can always call an angel to help you. That's what they were invented for, was to help.
Invented?
Right.
They were invented.
They were invented.
Who by?
The creator.
Yeah.
Because they knew when they made the original species that there were going to be fights. Just like you put brothers and sisters together, they're going to fight. We're all brothers and sisters in this universe, in all the universes. But we have a tendency to fight, you know, and they knew that this was coming. So, you know, the creator created the angels. And as an offshoot, he created the jinn as an offset. Because everything in this universe is a balance. Everything has to be balanced. For every good, there has to be a bad. And for every bad, there has to be a good. That's why I say I walk a gray line. I can look in the bad and I can see the good. And I can look in the good and I can see the bad. But I don't judge either side.
There's something chilling about that sentence, and that is that the occult understand this aspect. And I was watching Jimmy Savile again the other day, and Jimmy Savile would say, I mean, he was telling everybody what he was doing on TV, you know, in books, in interviews, hidden in plain sight, right?
Right.
And what he would say is that when he gets to the gates of heaven, on one hand, he's done all this bad stuff, but on the other hand, his credit account was high. And then I was listening to him thinking, it doesn't make up for it. That's not balanced.
You know, that's, you know, we have a joke in the South. You know, we tell everybody, you know, you're going to feel awful funny whenever y'all die and you get up to the pearly gates and St. Peter says, y'all jump in the back of the truck. We going to the big house, you know. So, you know, I mean, it's the same, you know, it's the same kind of joke, you know. This is just Southern style, you know.
Yeah. So back to the Jesuits. Some people are saying they're the bad guys, aren't they? Aren't they the bad guys?
Yeah, absolutely. The Jesuits originally started out as the Black Army for the Catholic Church. All right. And you know, they have infiltrated every group from the Masons all the way down to the Delmonicos to all the way up to the Knights of Malta, who are actually the bankers of the world.
And Jimmy Savile was a Knight of Malta.
Correct.
And so was Nelson Mandela. And so was Tony Blair. Yeah.
Right. And that old boy that sells pillows is the messenger for the Duke of St. Petersburg. And that's how he got into the White House to meet Trump that day, because he was bringing Trump a message from the Duke of St. Petersburg to let the election go.
I just thought it's because he made amazing pillows.
No, they didn't go there to take a nap. I don't think they went there to take a nap. No, he was delivering a message from the Duke of St. Petersburg, telling them, let it go. Let them see what's going to happen. You know, this has all been planned, folks. All of this has been planned millions of years ago. This is how we're going to go from 3D to 4D.
See if there's any more questions here. Quite a lot of people doing here. So I'm looking for really good questions. I like this one. And I probably mispronounced this. I can't use my worms today. Enne Miskovitz says, anything interesting about the crystal skulls? Now, I wanted to ask you about this because I met somebody about 12 years ago who told me their job was to activate the crystal skulls on Earth. And it was a very compelling story, but what do you know about them?
Okay, the crystal skulls were sent here by the families, and that's what kept this planet in balance, kept the weather in balance. It didn't make it too hot, too cold. It kept it good growing. And what they did is whenever they discovered the skulls in the cave, the archaeologists took them and didn't know that they were bringing destruction on, which was planned. That's why those skulls were there. They knew they had to start something to start the domino effect. So what they do, the archaeologists started taking the skulls, and they started taking them here, there, and they took them away. And those skulls were a family. They were a tribe that kept this planet weather, growing, people, everything in balance. And when they took them away, it's been chaos ever since.
But it's a spaceship that's 850 miles thick.
Right.
Is it a planet? What is it? How do we still call it a planet if it's a spaceship? Is that just because it's easy to say the words?
Yeah, because everybody's been taught through history that, you know, the planet Earth. Nobody's ever been taught, you know, the spaceship Terra. Okay?
There was a lot of truth hidden in plain sight in these sci-fi programs. There was a Doctor Who episode about 10 years ago that had this Great Britain flying through space as a ship, not a planet, not a country.
Right.
It's always there. Now I'm gonna ask this question from Karen Lear, because I think this is where people get really upset or find it difficult to understand. What if I am human and my hubby is a hologram? What are my children? And the reason I'm asking that question is because obviously we have a thing called love here, and
which is a lie.
Love is a lie.
Love is a lie. Love is nothing but a program through AI.
But that means we've got to get rid of about 1 billion pop songs.
I like country music. I don't care about pop in the first place. I don't like rock. I don't like rock music anyway.
Love is a lie. Right.
Yeah.
That's the title of this video.
You know, I mean, you know, you have to understand, you know, you're programmed. All right. Some people are built with programs from their family, and some people don't have program from their family. Okay. Because it's not that important. The only thing that's important when it comes to love is that we love each other as brothers and sisters, and we take care of each other. Going out, falling in love and getting married for 40 years, marriage is a 3D concept. They don't have that. They have unions in the higher dimensions, but they don't have marriage. You know,
this is resonating. But the question, what if I'm human and my hubby is a hologram? If that's the case, Karen's asking, what are my children?
Well, number one, females don't carry no female. It don't matter. Okay. You don't carry the God spark. The male carries the God spark. Okay. All right. I know. A female is a carrier. Okay. She carries the eggs. Okay. Every time that a man ejaculates, there's one sperm in there that lights up underneath a microscope. That's the one that has the God spark.
Hang on. I've got twin boys. There were two there.
Right. That's because when it hit the egg split.
No, these are two
one
separate.
Of them, right, but what I'm trying. Oh, it hit two eggs.
Well, they're not identical, so that means 2 eggs, 2 sperm.
Okay, then one's a droid and one has the God spark.
He's done it to me again. Made me speechless.
It is, guys. It's the way it is.
Listen, I can take all this information because, frankly, after the life I've lived, nothing surprises me anymore. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at, the comments, and I see people getting mad and everything. But you know what? If you're mad because I'm telling the truth, then you know what? That's on you. That's not on me.
Yeah, and also, don't take it personally. Don't take anything personally.
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the time we've done about 1 hour 20, which is plenty of time.
Sure.
I wanted you to show some of your 5D tech. Have you got any with you?
Sure.
Like the pyramids and stuff?
Sure.
Just quickly, we could do a whole show on them, but I'm just fascinated by how they work.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. These are rose gold made out of 101 copper. And what I do is when I go in up to the moon, I get quanta sparks and I put them into my energy and I bring them back down with me. When my energy enters into this vessel, I can bring them out of my hands. And I put 2 quanta sparks in the pyramid. One goes clockwise, the other one goes counterclockwise, which makes a magnetic pull in the center. Right here in the center, this is platinum. That's a platinum tip, which shoots the energy out. All right. Then we have the miniature Q ring that you can wear around your body. This acts like a vacuum. Pick any hole. First hole cleans your outer auric field. Second hole cleans your magnetic field. The third hole cleans your plasmatic field, which is the closest field to your body. When you shake it like this, the fourth hole acts as a vacuum and it cleans the 3 holes out of negative energy. Okay. Then you have the bigger one for people that are healers, and you can run it up along your aura in case anything connects to you. Okay. And a lot of healers like that. And that's what this is. This is a tool from the Anunnaki. This opens up the heart, the pineal gland, and the third eye.
Oh, I want one of them.
Yeah. Sleep with it underneath I've got one and I activate it every night. All these tools, all you have to do is just shake it 3 times and until it activates. The tools turn right back on. I slip it in between my pillow and the pillowcase on the bottom, and I sleep on it at night.
It's funny when you said the word activate, then I had something go off in the back of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have the neutralization ring, which draws out negativity in food, drink, whatever you're doing, or if you're going out to eat. We always take these with us. Okay. You have a neutralization ring and a sun ring, which is a positive ring. Okay. This draws out 10 to 12 levels deep of negativity. And then you take your food off of this, activate this, put your food on it, and you only put it on there for about 20 seconds, and it puts positive field back into your food 12 to 14 levels deep.
Cool.
And those are the tools that, I invented with the Pleiadians.
Well, I need to get those tools here so that I can do some testing on them. But we'll put your email address in the description so people can get more information if they want to find out.
Sure.
But what I want to end the show on is any positive. Give people because sometimes what you say scares people. Sometimes it annoys them. Some people love it. I mean, this is the way information goes, right? This is the way people react, depending on where they're at. But I mean, I'm very optimistic about the future. I'm really excited about it.
I am too. But there's a lot of them. There's a lot of 3Ders that are not going to be here. Okay. You're going to one of the other 2 3D planets that we brought in 2016. Okay. They're set up. They're waiting for you. Okay. If you've got to get out of selfishness, you've got to start caring about other people. All right. You've got to start caring. Open your heart. Instead of letting your mind control you, put it to your heart. Let your heart give you the answer.
Well, on that subject, is that not the? I mean, how does that contradict the fact that love is an AI program? Or are you talking about falling in love, or there's a difference? Because that it is about our heart. We all feel that. The humans feel that. I love everybody as much as I can.
Right. Right.
I'm as kind as I can be to everybody that I
Right.
meet.
Correct.
I don't always get it right, but I'm doing my best.
Right. Exactly.
That is love. That's not an AI construct. That's
no, that's not an AI concept. What I'm talking about is like, you know, there's all these different ways of love. Okay. You know, we all love the children. Don't care. It doesn't matter. They're children. Okay. But they're their own beings. Okay. And we're here to watch over them to make sure that they learn the lessons they need to learn. And we step in with a little higher learning to give them the knowledge that will step them up one step up the ladder faster than what me and you did. That's what I did with my kids. I had 6 of them.
6. Well done. 5.
Just one behind me.
Yeah, well,
got something you want to announce? You got something you want?
No.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking you're a Romeo.
I always thought I was going to have 6. Maybe there's one out there that somebody hasn't told me about. I don't know. Look, Kent, I've enjoyed my life as much as I can. Trying to do no harm. I knew I was here. I knew I had to cram it in, you know. So I did a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, simple as that.
Yeah,
but
you know, just understand that, you know, love, you know, if it's not generated from the heart, cannot be generated from the mind.
Yeah.
Because what your eyes see, your heart will, whatever your eyes see, okay? You know, if it doesn't resonate with your heart, it ain't true in the first place. And that's the way it is.
That's a beautiful way to end it. People are asking about buying your stuff. If you're on my email list and the link's near here, I will send you the details to get more information on Kent's stuff. Okay, it's all good. Kent, wonderful speaking to you. 1.5 hours, really.
Yeah, nice talk to you too. You know, I don't know if I'm ever going to be invited on the show anymore, but you know, if not, you know, I just want you all to know that, you know, I'm truthful. I lay it out on the line. I want you to take it and discern with you. I wanted you to put it in your heart. And if your heart tells you that I'm telling the truth, then do with it what you want. Because you have free will on this planet. And other planets don't have that free will. Okay? You're lucky. You do. Okay? So you do what you want to with it. I'm just here to tell you the truth. I love you as my brother and sister. Even if we've never met, even if we've never talked, it doesn't matter. You're still my brother or my sister. Okay? And for that, I love you.
Thank you, Kent Dunn. Thanks everybody for being here. Have a wonderful whatever you're doing, and it's all going to be good. See you later, boss.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.